Man, welcome. Episode 74 of Expert Mentors Live. Man, super pumped to be able to jump in with Mr. Dan Rojas on, we want to talk a little new age marketing and building relationships. I'm sure you guys are going to have some questions. So if you're hanging out with us this afternoon, just throw them in the chat or the Q&A. And if you're listening to the replay, throw it into the box below, either on the link or on Facebook. And Dan or I will get you guys all squared away. So, Dan, if you haven't said hello, say hello to the Honey Badger Nation.
What's up, Honey Badger Nation? I'm excited and stoked to be here with you guys. It is always an honor to be a part of such a movement, a culture, if you would. And these are exciting times for all of us, to be quite honest. And I couldn't be happier to be here. Yeah,
man. I'm super excited you took the time to be able to jump in with us, and you sent over the bullet points, and I was like, oh, this is going to be good. So make sure you guys get your notepad and pen handy, because I know you're going to be taking away some notes. So I'm going to let you rock and roll with it.
Nice. So I'll start with a little background on myself. I haven't been in the industry very long, to be quite honest. I've been doing this for just about 16 or 17 months, so going on a year and a half. And the background was that I came from the hospitality industry. You know, I was plugging in, plugging out, and doing a lot of marketing coordinating for a restaurant group here in Orlando. And it got to a point where I was actually overseeing operations for several of the venues here. And, I'm working 60, 70 hours a week for salary. It was comfortable living. But the story goes that one day I was dropping off my motorcycle at the motorcycle shop to get it tuned up. And my wife picks me up and she's got this sour look on her face. And I'm like, oh, what is it now? And she's like, can you believe that Jill was in the 100K club? And Jill's her sister. So my sister-in-law hit the 100K club at Exit Realty at that moment in time. And I was like, wait a second, your sister that took 5 vacations that we know of last year made 100K, and I'm working 60, 70 hours a week. And so we kind of took the weekend. I got frustrated and more frustrated with work. And Monday morning, I woke up clear as rain. And to be quite honest, I looked at her and I said, do you trust me? And she said, yeah. Why? And I was like, well, fine.
At least she said yes before why, and it wasn't why. So.
Yeah, I definitely got lucky with her for sure. And I resigned that Monday. I called my partners, let them know. And one of my business partners at the time, he asked me, he said, where are you going? And in all honesty, I told him, I said, I'm not doing hospitality anymore, because seeing the opportunity that my sister-in-law had and her nagging me for 3 years. I mean, she had been telling me for 3 years straight, you need to do real estate, you need to do real estate, you need to do real estate. And I ignored her because the salary is what, kind of kept me comfortable. Sure. It held me back, if you would. And so once I saw the opportunity there, I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's go, 120%, 200%, let's get this done. So I actually started attending trainings with Gil Ramos. He's our mentor in chief, I guess you would say. And
what a way to get started.
Yeah, I know, right? Started attending trainings with this guy, and he's been a member of NAEA for years. And he's been, pouring into us all the knowledge that he's gotten from there. And I actually started attending those trainings before I was even licensed. I mean, they hooked me with the food for sure. That was a bonus for free lunches for a month while I was unemployed, I guess you would say.
There you go. At least you knew you were going to eat lunch.
Yeah. So at least I was getting fed for the first month before I was licensed, and then it all ended up working out pretty well, to be quite honest. First 2 weeks, I'd already built a relationship, as Gil had kind of mentored me and focused and got me going when it came to being able to get myself ready for real estate. So second weekend, I had 4 listings and 2 buyers ready to go. And that's kind of why we're here, really, because I didn't know real estate from anything else, to be quite honest. I didn't have my parents helping me out. I didn't have any friends besides my sister-in-law who were helping me with that. And to be quite honest, I was kind of like lost. So I was very fortunate to have the right mentors in place at the right time to be able to benefit from it. And mindset was like a huge thing. And going into it, I didn't really have the best mindset. I'm a very big competitor. So for me, it's like me versus the world. And when I jumped into real estate, I thought it was a solo gig. And that was kind of what my mindset was at the time. I was like, oh, I'm going to crush everyone. I'm going to get this going. And my wife was like, well, don't crush anybody because you're going to burn some bridges.
Yeah.
So I got real lucky with a wife who's very understanding and she's very forward thinking. And so she's helped guide me along the way. And I took that mentality from wins and losses to there are no losses in this industry. If you look at it, it's either a win or it's a lesson learned. There's no
Absolutely.
such things as losses. You know, Bobby DeVito, it says it's so great. If you go into a listing appointment and you're competing against other agents for that same listing, and you walk out of there and you didn't get it, well, you didn't have it to begin with. So your job and your next step is to figure out why it was that you didn't get it. That's a lesson learned, and that's such a positive mindset. And I feel like this last year and a half has really revolutionized my way of thinking because of that and because of the culture that was built. Now, take it a step further into EXP, and it was like, I mean, mind blown at that point in time. But it was something that came a long time coming, because before I almost had like a negative mindset. Now it's like, we're just winning every day here.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where the mindset played into it. I'm still learning, you know, and that's why I'm so thankful for you, Jay Kinder, Albie, Mike Reese, you know, even Holly, and especially Bobby Gill and Carlos, you know. But I got to give a huge shout out to my sister-in-law, Jillian Silk, because without her, I definitely wouldn't be here for sure. And now we're building this empire together, and that's kind of how I always wanted it. When I jumped into real estate, I looked at Jill and I was like, hey, let's get this locomotive train going, because we've got a lot of power behind us, and now we have even more with all the tools and the benefits, especially with the power of NAEA, to be quite honest. So
that's awesome, man. We definitely, you know, appreciate it. We you know, it's amazing to, you know that it's landing, it's having an impact, and then being able to hear the stories and see the success and the wins, and, you know, and I know we're just getting started. And I just want to highlight one thing, man, that is really insightful, that I hope everybody else kind of picks up, right? You brought in your perspective from your previous industry, and I'm sure it's going to tie into a lot of the things that you're going to share today. And I encourage everybody to tap into things from outside this industry, things that you've done, the experiences you have, and how it can apply, right? Don't just settle for, well, that's the way it is. It's like, when you see something off or something wrong, I mean, you call it out, right? I mean, that doesn't make sense. Why don't we try it this way? Why don't we do it this way? And I think that'll definitely serve well. That was one thing that jumped out at me with you being in just a, you know, relatively short period of time, and having that hospitality background. I was like, ooh, yeah, that definitely serves well. So I'm sure there's a ton of great lessons we're going to dive into, but I just wanted to tell everybody not to be afraid to tap into your, you know, all of your experiences, because it'll serve you well.
And I'll tell you, you know, the one thing about hospitality industry is that we're all in sales. If you look at it, I mean, whether you're in retail and you're at a clothing store, or you're working at a restaurant, I mean, your next job, right, is to upsell the next thing. So, I mean, any job is sales. It's just that I feel real estate can just amplify and jumpstart your life to where you can actually enjoy it. You know, working 60, 70 hours a week, what kind of life is that? And that's kind of how I looked at it when I realized the potential with Jill. And, you know, everyone's capable of maximizing themselves. That's the one thing I really learned in this industry, is that everybody does have a special magic tool, you know, whether it's for sale by owners, whether it's communicating or building relationships. And you are the secret sauce. You know, I tell everybody we've got the secret formula, but it's really in here. And that's really where it comes to play. When you start looking at everything as a transaction, then that I consider a loss, you know. But once you start humanizing everything with all your relationships and sales, I mean, it becomes a breeze. 90% of my business comes from referrals. You know, I didn't know much about real estate coming in. I didn't know much about Zillow leads or Z Teams or, you know, Realtor.com leads or any other type of lead generation source. Yeah. I came in and I just had a lot of friends and a lot of family that wanted to help me succeed. And I was very fortunate and thankful for that. And I still am, but it's just kind of evolved from there, because I always say that every one of my clients is no longer a client. As soon as we start getting this process going and we start looking for a home for them, then you're now family. That's just how it works. And I tell you that looking at things in that manner, that is the secret sauce. You are the secret sauce. You're the magic that kind of puts everything together. Now, going to the next step and, you know, amplifying your business and taking it to the next level, well, that's kind of where you got to tie in organization and time blocking. And that's something that I had very down to a science with the hospitality industry, because I know that orders are due by this time on this date. And if so-and-so is not, you know, hitting the marks, then we got to see where we can shift them to, how we can amplify that. Maybe they need another day off. And so scheduling was huge on that, and weekly meetings and monthly trainings with everybody. So I come from a background where we use Google everything, you know, so we use Google Documents, Google Calendar because why? I mean, first and foremost, it's free. So that's a pretty cheap resource right there.
You can share calendars. You can share calendars across.
Yeah.
You can lay over top, see where things are at, who's available, who's not available. I mean, I love it, man. I get it. And, it is so, I mean, you can't succeed. I don't think you can succeed in that business without being, really disciplined to the calendar.
Yeah. So I kind of brought that over with me and, we have the schedule. We have our morning call sessions, our afternoon call sessions, when you're supposed to be planning out your week, even your social media posts. These are all things that can be automated. I look like I'm always on social media, but in reality, I kind of plan it all out a week in advance, but that's because of the organization. When I do my showing schedules, everything's in order, 45 minutes to an hour apart for all my showing times or all my showings. And then each single event has all the notes that I need because heaven forbid I run to a house and I don't have service and I haven't printed up the sheet that tells me all the details about the home. And my client's like, well, how many square feet? How old is the roof and all this stuff? So organization and time blocking they go hand in hand. And that's how I'm able to maximize my week. I mean, today, for example, my business partner, Sean Romano, he's a creative genius, this guy. And we teamed up with Andrew Brooks and we run this show called Around the Town. And it's a show where it's a web internet show. And we go to these local businesses, whether it's a restaurant, a bar, a donut shop, or even a personal fitness gym. And we film a 5 to 10 minute episode. It takes us about 2 hours to film. And then we produce it. It's free to the businesses, but I just left one of those to make it here on time. And then right after this, I know exactly where I'm going to be. It's funny, but my week is scheduled out. Yeah, you got to, because even my agents, they know they can reach me whenever, but if you want to sit down or if you want to bring an agent in, see if we can get them going into the family, you gotta let me know at least 24 hours in advance, because days like today, I'm booked out to like 6 p.m. Right after this, I'm running to showings with a relocation client, new family member. And I got to keep a tight schedule because that's how you end up being successful. I've seen a lot of these guys who do 20, 30, 40, 50. I got a friend who did 80 million in volume last year, and he'll remain nameless, but he told me a good secret and something to live by. And he goes, as long as I focus on 4 closings a week, I'm set. And that's how I hit those numbers. And he's got a schedule that you would not believe. We met at a broker's open and he got there when he could, but then as soon as the clock hit a certain time, he looked at me, he says, Dan, love you, gotta go. Because he was on to his next thing. So you look at these guys and that's how they do it. Organization and time blocking. I see a lot of agents out there that are saying, how do you get there? How do you get there? Structure and organization is going to be the key to your foundation besides relationships. So
as you're filling that time block with the highest leveraged activities that produce the results, right? And it helps fight off distraction, right? Like the white space in the calendar just allows you to fall into, the death spiral of Instagram and Facebook and social media, and, all of the distractions come at you. So if you've got it structured, your activities that drive your results, just like when you were saying, hey, 4 closings, I know that I got to go on X number of appointments. I've got to have X number of conversations. I've got to do X number of things, marketing, sales activities. That's it. I have a question, and I'm wondering how you've carried this over and applied it into what you're doing with real estate. And I know on the hospitality side, you're really aware and focused on the experience that the guest, the consumer is having at whatever that event, whatever you're doing. How have you been able to, and I'm jumping around, but I don't want to let this one go because it's super important. How have you been able to carry that over into what you're doing with real estate from an experience and focusing on your clients, your family's experience?
So there's a few things I do to make sure that I'm constantly involved in their lives. And the first and foremost thing is, if they've got a Facebook, I'm friends with them right away. And I know a lot of agents are like, well, what if they see my personal life? So what? I mean, you're helping them buy or sell.
Nothing to hide. Yeah.
The largest transaction they're most likely going to deal with their entire life. And you're worried about being friends with them on Facebook about, what you're going to do on the weekend. And in reality, that just kind of humanizes it all. And my latest clients, they came in town last Wednesday. They flew out yesterday. I met them at the airport yesterday to say bye. We're already under contract. They're relocating from Massachusetts, and they already texted me too. they were like, oh, we're your new Massachusetts parents. And I was like, love it. And it adds that factor to it. I'll tell you a quick story real quick about a time that it actually really helped me. I friend requested a new client, and thank God I did, because this guy went and bought a jet ski and went and bought a car and opened up a new credit card all while under contract.
Oh, and boy, you gotta love that.
we all know those are big no-nos, right? And so immediately, you know, as soon as I saw that on social media, I called the lender. I said, hey, this is what just occurred. How do we fix this? And he's just like, yeah, I just noticed that too. And he's like, what we got to do is we got to switch him up on a loan. So instead of conventional, we got to switch him to the FHA loan. And that's how we're kind of going to fix this. But we have to reduce the down payment amount and fix a few more things in the process. So immediately I called up my client, which, you know, he tells the story now. He's like, oh, Dan and Will saved this whole deal for me. I almost botched it. But back then he was like, well, why can't I buy a car? Why can't I buy a jet ski now? I was like, oh, I almost said his name, but I told him, I said, I love you to death, and I'm so glad I saw this and we caught this in time. We just filed for an extension for an extra 8 days and got it done. But that kind of helps the transition too. And his wife just called me about a month ago. We bought their home a year ago, and his wife just called me. She goes, hey, I know you helped us buy our home, but do you help sell homes too? And I was like, absolutely. She's like, cool. One of my colleagues at work is going to call you next week, and they need to list with you, and you need to get them the most money. And I was like, appreciate it. But you know, it helps it when you don't stress out too much about it. Our job is to take the stress on, obviously, for our clients. So it's kind of like an amazing experience for them. So we need to take on the stress, but we need to remove emotion from these decisions and see how we can best serve them. I've seen a lot of agents and they kind of sit there and they kick themselves around and they're like, oh, this is never going to work. And my client just did this, or I forgot that. Well, if you remove emotion, it kind of lets you make those logical decisions for you naturally. And that way your client is going to have the absolute best experience. You know, immediately I was like, okay, I should be mad that he did all of this, right? I should be frustrated, but how do we solve this? You know, my theory is you never go to somebody with a problem in hand. You go to them with a solution in hand to that problem already ready to go. So like I said, I called the lender first, and then I called my client and I said, hey, by the way, we got to stop all spending right now. Whatever you're doing, we got to cut it. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to send you some documents and let's fix this real quick. The whole experience is just about, our job is a convenience factor, right? We have landscapers to take care of our grass and our hedges and our trees, because we can easily do that ourselves. You know, I got a riding lawnmower in the garage and I could go do that, but I'm paying someone for that convenience so that I can best put my time somewhere else, right? So it's no different for us when it comes to our clients right now. They are paying us, or, you know, the seller out of the commission and the co-brokering is paying us to take on a lot of stress and to handle anything and everything for our clients. And, you know, you got to look at it as such, because if not, that's kind of where a lot of agents tend to fail, is what I've seen. So,
love it.
To me, it's one of those things where experience and education come into play. You know, I didn't have a lot of experience when I did this, but it looked like as if I had a lot of experience because of the education and how much time I poured into learning from these guys, learning from Gil, learning from Tom Simino, learning from my sister-in-law, learning from Bobby, Biagio, all these guys. And that's kind of where I see education trumps experience, because I've met agents that have been doing this for 20 years. And I had a broker once tell me, he's like, oh, well, we've been doing it this way for 8 years. And I'd only been in the business for 8 months. And I was like, well, it's not on paper. And unfortunately, your client's not going to get this, you know, home warranty, and the money's going to go back to my sellers, which my sellers were thrilled about. They're like, oh, you just saved us $1,100 between home warranty and other stuff. But it was the education that I had that kind of poured into that situation. We're always students. I mean, the real estate industry, how often is it changing? I mean, even 10 years ago, I know agents that were walking around with their little black books, but I've got a little black book for notes, not for my actual listings or anything like that.
You know, so, I think too, you know, there's a lot to be said. You plugged into an incredible ecosystem. However, you were the student, right? You walked in and you know, there's a little, over Zane's, over my youngest son's karate class, when you walk in the door, right? It's whatever saying is that, you know, the teacher will open the door, but the student has to walk through. And so I think you had some of that ecosystem opened up for you, right? And it was like, it's a treasure trove of just not only amazing training, but just amazing human beings. But you walked through there, you plugged yourself in. And I think there's a lot to be said. There's a great lesson there for everybody listening in. And for you guys listening in, you're in a great ecosystem, right? Just being in part of the Honey Badger Nation. But are you the student that's going to walk through the door is the question that you have to answer.
And I'll tell you, I used to not be one of those, like, I need to learn everything. And in high school, I didn't even like history class. Now it's like my favorite thing. And plugging in everywhere I go, whether it's, a mastermind conference, a leadership conference, I'm trying to get all those ins and outs because I'm brand new. And I love that because I get to see everything on a fresh take, and I don't have to see it. I get to see it evolve live. I mean, we're talking about technology, right? But at the end of the day, our business isn't real estate, right? It's sales, but we're in the people business. We're in the relationship business. Real estate is just a byproduct of that. I mean, absolutely. I could go do that at a car dealership and it's the exact same factor. Right. And so people tend to forget that sales is sales all the way across the board. Almost every single job is sales. You're just at a different level of sales. You're either, the server that's selling this, or the bartender that's selling this, or the bar manager, and all the way up to GM and owner. But it's a people business.
Selling your people, right? I mean, in the hospitality business, I mean, you had to sell your people on, why they needed to do certain things to really excel at what they were doing. And, that's a fantastic point. You just found a better vehicle to monetize your skill set and your knowledge. That's going to give you a greater return on your time. And it's amazing.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's crazy because, the hours that I was putting in there, I'm not putting in nearly the hours that I was doing in the hospitality industry, but I'm definitely doubling or tripling the income for there for sure. But you got to do it organically. The reason I wanted to go the whole new age marketing and relationships route is because old school marketing is dead. I mean, the old school way of sales is dead. The whole, when Facebook and MySpace first started, everybody was like, oh, go like this page and tag 3 friends and share it, and you'll be entered for like $100 or $1,000 gift card to Walmart or Home Depot. And it's like, when was the last time anybody actually did that recently, right?
Right.
And that's kind of why I base the foundation on organic, because people tend to look at social media and think of it as a sales platform, and it can be if you do it right. But you don't walk into a party and immediately start introducing yourself and asking people if they're if they own a home or if they rent, right? And that's how we define buyers and sellers, right? So buyers are people who don't own a home, and sellers are the ones that do. Well, I'm not going to walk into a party and immediately be like, oh, do you own a home or do you rent? And if they tell me, no, oh, I own my home, I'm going to be like, okay, cool, we'll sell it next week, and then on to the next person, right? So, I mean, we don't do that in real life, so why would we do that on social media? And I see a lot of clever agents out there lately, and it's getting exciting because you never know how people are going to post or how they're going to market things. And you always want to engage people. That's one of the reasons why we do the Around the Town show, right? It's to stay relevant. And marketing in this industry, or any major sales industry, is just about being top of mind. I mean, somebody's going to buy and sell a car, a house, or a number of things, right? But you got to be there when they're ready to make that decision, right? So you got to be top of mind. It doesn't really matter what you're plugging in front of them. Obviously, the more organic and the more interesting it is, the more opportunity you have to keep them engaged. But that's one of the reasons why we do that Around the Town show. Everybody asks, why do you guys do that for free? Well, we own the equipment, so it doesn't cost us anything except for time. And Sean does all the production himself, which, I mean, the guy's amazing. And you guys will have to check out those Around the Town episodes that we do. I don't know if you've seen those funny skits lately, like the big dancing one and all the other stuff. Yeah. Sean and Andrew have just been going at it with all these clever videos. They did a Titanic one. And I mean, you just got to watch these videos because
they're great.
They get it. They understand that people just want to be entertained. And that's the beauty of real estate, is that we just got to be there at the right time when it comes to, when they're ready. And organically is the best way to do it, because you can't just post a link of a home on Facebook or Instagram and say, oh, check out this home. Right. Because realistically thinking, I mean, I know that's a bait and switch. I know that's a clickbait. and I'm going to keep moving. So instead, what I try to teach everybody is that, hey, get them to click on it by mentioning something about the house on the inside or the backyard, or just be funny with it. I found a home the other day that if we didn't live in our current home right now, I legitimately would have put this one up for sale and bought the other one, right? So, but that's how people think. And so what I did was I made it funny. I said, my wife's going to kill me. So somebody help me let me help somebody buy this house before I do, because my wife's going to murder me. And, that probably got about 1,000 people engaged, and I probably had about 40, 50 reactions to it on Facebook. And it wasn't your typical like, oh, click this to see more. No, I just made a lot of people laugh. And people actually clicked on it, went through it, and people were also amazed. They were like, wow, you're right. Why is this home up for sale? Like, why are they even moving from this home? So the more organic, the better. And that's in real life too. I mean, if you go to a networking event, a community event, or a church event, or wherever you end up going, even if you're just sitting at a bar, you're not going to naturally go ahead and just start drilling them to see if they're going to be your next prospective client. You're going to start asking about their lives. You got to get more involved with these people. The only reason people do business with us is they know us, they like us, and they trust us. Well, you got to give them a reason to. So if you start asking them, how's your week? What do you do for a living? When you find out they're married, do they have kids? Are they a dog family? Are they a cat family? Do they own a horse ranch? You never know the situation. And that's our job, is to be detectives and figure out more about these people's lives. My cousin in Colombia, South America, he used to work at a Levi's store, right? And that was when Levi was, the jeans to buy. And it was all commission based for sales down there. And so this guy walked into the store looking super raggedy, and none of the associates wanted to help him out. My cousin was like, you know what? I'm going to take a chance on this and see what happens. Started talking to the guy, found out the guy was a farmer and had 600 employees on all of his farms out in Colombia. My cousin set the record for sales because all he did was start a conversation with somebody that looked like they weren't ready,
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. That's awesome, man.
Organic's got to be the way to go, and you got to stand out above the rest. And one of the things that we teach, and I'll post the link later, or maybe you can help me do that, is we discovered this trick when we first jumped into real estate. Andrew Brooks is my other business partner, and he discovered this little trick where you can actually clone your Facebook profile once, right? So what it does is, say you've got 500 friends and you clone your Facebook profile, it turns it into a business page. And now you've got 500 likes, right? This trick is amazing because what it does is it resets the algorithm for Facebook. So your friends that might not see your post so frequently are now going to see your business post and your business page, but it actually forces them. It doesn't invite them to like your page. It actually forces them to like it. So I have over 2,000 likes on my business page, and obviously being brand new, people are like, how'd you do that? And I'm just like, well, let me show you how.
Right.
It's genius, and we'll post a link for that later. But what it does is it gives everybody the opportunity, because people are going to scope you out. I mean, social media and technology today is so advanced that clients want to know how many likes you've got on your page, how many followers you got, what kind of posts you're making, how many sales you had, and it's all part of like one giant profile that they're kind of building for you, right? And so if you got 12, which is 12 likes on your page, which is your mom, your brother, your sister, your dad.
What are you doing to get the rest?
That's cool, right? But you gotta stand out above the rest, and you gotta stand out above the norm. So we'll post that link. I made a quick video on it. I would teach everybody how to do it here, but unfortunately you can only do it once, and obviously I've already done it. So what we did was we borrowed a friend, an agent. We borrowed their Facebook profile to go ahead and do that and take care of that, so that way you guys can watch it. But it's just another way to enhance your social media and kind of be prevalent with that. So.
No, I love it, man. That's definitely a little ninja move that everybody needs to really embrace if you haven't done anything like that already.
But I tell you, that's actually how Jay and I we met. We were in Phoenix, and we were riding an Uber to and from the Airbnb to the Leadership Summit, and we all just smushed into this Uber that probably only fit about 6 people, but there was 10 in there. And so we were basically all sitting on each other's laps on the way there. And we started talking about this, and James was like, yeah, I've got all these likes and blah, blah, blah. And, I mentioned to him that I already had over 2,000 likes at the time. And he was like, wait, aren't you brand new? How'd you do that? And I told him about the trick. And he was like, you got to teach everybody how to do that. And I was like, one day we'll teach everybody how to do it. And it was like the golden ticket moment when he handed me his metal business card. And I was like, wow, I was like, this is it. I've made it. This is amazing.
You don't hand those out to everybody. So no, that's pretty cool.
Expensive. I asked him how much he paid for those, and I was like, I'm going to stick with my paper business cards.
They're, I would say, they're worth the investment if you hand them out to the people at certain times, right? Mm-hmm. Key influencers, especially I think in a larger market, right? When you guys are getting plugged in, and I think, around the town show helps you get plugged into the community. It's one of the key steps of being in this business that you must do, right? Like you must, go after, if you're starting out, no money, right? No, nothing, lowest cost, easiest to implement, fastest return. And one of those is getting plugged into the community. And that's where I see around the town show, you guys are going to just like separate yourself from everybody in the marketplace because you're showcasing local businesses and influencers that know a lot of people that when they think anything real estate related, they're going to be like, yeah, those guys shot the show. You need to go talk to them.
Yeah. And we leverage that. It's something that we leverage because there's multiple businesses we've done it at where we just ask them afterwards. We're like, hey, because they always ask me, what does this cost us? We're like, nothing. And we give them, 30,000 up to 30,000 eyeballs for free. And so we kind of have leveraged that from time to time to be like, hey, do you mind if we put some business cards, over here by the register? You'd be amazed how many times a week I get a text message of a picture of my face in front of a register at one of the businesses that we've done it before. But you're right. I mean, that's huge plugging into the community like that.
And I think you can, it's just another piece in building the relationships. And I know like, kind of thinking through any other things that you want to do in the future, any type of events, programs, anything, right? You're kicking off, you can be, hey, we've got this opportunity, would you like to be a part of it, right? You have a easier dynamic to reach out to them and be like, heck yeah, man, we would love to be a part of that. And so it's just that the influence, the law of reciprocation that people want to give back once you've given to them. And plus, I mean, there's a lot of uses for that. It's a great strategy. If you guys have any type of resources, I mean, it's definitely fire to go out and implement that strategy.
And it's crazy because the only reason this has happened is because of the evolution in technology, right? So,
yes.
We talk about EXP all the time with, the advancement of technology and everything we have. Our CRM is, in my personal opinion, the best. And it's really for the fact that we test drove a ton of CRMs for about 6 months. And then when we made the switch, I was like, oh, here it is, all encompassing, all in one. But, I hear a lot of talk in the industry about agents being terrified of what's going to happen next with technology. They're like, oh, we're getting pushed out by this company or that company, or, they're starting their instant offers program. And I actually see that as an advantage. That technology is bringing us that much closer together because our job, is a relationship job. Well, technology is just going to bring us closer together. You just got to enhance that relationship. So we're actually going to have a more prevalent job in the future because we're going to be able to find out the ins and outs and know all the loopholes or how to best serve our clients. And so I only see that enhancing that by building relationships more. But technology is only one piece, to be quite honest, because we play this video. It's a Saturday Night Live skit. Now I'll post the video later too, but it's a Saturday Night Live skit with one of the guys. He pretends to be David Ortiz, the baseball player.
Right.
And he's like, oh, now that you're retired, what are you going to do? And he's just like, yeah, I made this new dating website, yo. And the host is like, dating website? He's like, yeah, it's called Go Outside. And he starts talking about how you want to meet some people. He's like, go outside and look around. There's people everywhere.
I love it.
And we play that a lot because, people tend to hide behind their keyboards and behind their screens thinking that lead generation is you got to pay for it or you got to get clever on social media. If you just start going out and having fun, you never know what kind of conversation you're going to strike up. It happened to us about 2-3 weeks ago. My wife and I started running errands right before the hurricane was supposed to hit here in Florida. And so obviously we're stocking up on a lot of stuff, including, we went to the booze store, we went to the liquor store to go pick up some White Claws like everybody else. But we ran into a friend of mine that I probably hadn't seen in about 3-4 years. And he was like, hey, I'm following you on all your stuff. He's like, I see you're killing it. He's like, I'm going to be buying a house in the next year, and I meant to reach out to you. And I said, well, why wait then? Like, what's the reason why you're holding back? And he's like, oh, I want to save up a little bit more. And I said, well, what's your plans? And I started, quizzing him about
dissecting a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Just figuring out why he needs to wait. Because a lot of people and a lot of clients tend to think that, I need 20% or I need 10% or I got to wait till my score is perfect, or, all these different reasons that they build up in their own head of why they can't buy. And, so I spoke to him, and instead of him buying in like 9 to 10 months, he's going to be buying in the next 4 to 6 months.
There you go.
And my wife looked at me and she goes, that's it. You're in charge of running all the errands. And I was like, great. So
that's awesome.
I'm now in charge of running all the errands.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Go get the White Claw. That's awesome. And it applies, to even the agent attraction side of things, right? You've got to get out there. You've got to connect. You got to have the collisions with the agents in the marketplace. And two things that you said there, that's one, right? You've got to get out. I think the show, being plugged into the community, those things help. The other is people are watching. They're paying attention. They might not comment. They might not hit the like button. They might not do that, but they're watching. They're paying attention. And those of you that are more consistent with creating the content that's entertaining, that's educational, that's making them think a little bit, that's providing value, they're watching, and it has a tremendous impact. So do more content, get out, go talk to people. I love that. That's awesome. I got to watch that skit.
I'll send it to you after this and we'll post it. But what you just said is exactly true. So I just met with like a national recruiter for KW, and he thought he was trying to recruit me, and great guy, fantastic guy. He's all about family and vibe and culture. And, halfway through the conversation, he's like, he just flat out told me, he's like, why I haven't joined EXP? And I said, tell me a little bit more about that. And he said, well, because, so-and-so, a friend of mine from KW left and went over to EXP. And he says, oh, well, if you came over, this is how many agents you could bring, and this is how much you could make, and blah, blah, blah. And I sat there and I smirked, and he's like, what's so funny? I said, well, looking at your $10,000 watch on your wrist, looking at the keys that you've got on the table, that's, the $60,000 Range Rover, and seeing your $700 outfit, you're not really concerned about money. So why would anybody hit you that way? And he looks at me, he's like, he cracked it, he figured it. And I was like, obviously to you, it's more about caring about your team. And that's always been my case as well. Our team, we would do anything for our team. And, the Honey Badger Nation. And that's why we're always so giving. And I've never seen a culture like this anywhere. Granted, I'm new, but I'm saying across any industry. I've never seen a culture like this band together. And he kind of looked at me and was just like, huh. Because I told him, I said, a brand is, you are the brand. It doesn't matter where you are, but there are some better tools and some better culture over here. And we kind of have best shared practices. And so the wheel started turning in his head, and I could see it. He was just like, okay, I see it. And I was like, so you're telling me a friend of yours just hit you with the numbers, right? He's like, yeah, he didn't ask me anything. He just showed me this and showed me that. And I was just like, all right. I was like, cool. Well, let's link up again next week for lunch. And he's already texted me this week. But you got to dive into these people's lives, because you never know what's going to motivate somebody. Like you said, they're always watching, because obviously that meeting was held because of the numbers I had done in the last year. So he was clearly on my radar, but it gave me the opportunity to get to know him better. He's got 3 daughters, and the guy's been doing this for 30 years. And, money doesn't motivate him anymore. It's more about culture and family vibes for him. And so EXP has a lot of things for everybody. We say that there's 5 reasons why anybody would ever join EXP. And for me, it's all 5 reasons. But for me, the number one reason was culture. We would follow Gil Ramos into a fire, right? But once we started meeting Carlos German, then we met Jake Kinder and Albie, Mike Reese, you, and everybody else, I was like, it already felt like we were home. Yeah. I was like, we didn't even have to already make the switch to know that this is where we were supposed to be to begin with. But you got to dive into people's lives and get personal and build those relationships. Reach out to the person that, you just did a transaction with. I have a lot of agents that ask me, well, how did you get to 17, 18, 19 frontline and, 50, 60 in your organization in 6 months? And I just tell them, I said, real easy. We just love on everybody. We just had 2 KW agents join us. One of them was because I just closed a deal with her. And she was like, I've never met anybody so helpful in my life. And we always think that we're like at war, right? But really, neither of us get paid until we're both at the closing table. So there's no reason to fight. We just got to figure out the solution to everything for our clients and kind of do it together. And so she joined us right afterwards. And then I was at a lunch and learn. And that one was funny. The KW agent walked in, and immediately I started drilling him with questions. And I was like, oh, where do you work? He's like, KW. And I was like, oh, how long you been there? He's like, I feel like this is an ambush. And I told him afterwards, I was like, it was an ambush, but I really wanted to get to know you. And, we went wakeboarding the next week, and you gotta get personal with these people, because that's where the culture is built. That's where this family grows so exponentially, because once they see the love, I mean, the rest is just a benefit and a bonus. I mean, rev share, stock options, everything is just a bonus to me at the end of the day. And
Right.
I couldn't tell you the amount of tools that go overlooked, but that is culture and relationships are the number one tool that goes overlooked in recruitment, hands down.
Right. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And I think, what you said in there, and it's just a great lesson. I mean, it even applies to buyers and sellers, is uncover their pain points, uncover what's the, keeping them up at night, uncover, the story that's playing in their head. It's meeting them where they're at. It's talking to them about their agenda. It's not yours. You once you uncover, then you can prescribe the right solution to help solve their problem. And like you're talking about the KW recruiter, you get him aligned. He understands, the family dynamics, the ecosystem, the culture. But then, 6 months from now, 12 months from now, he might be like, hey, Dan, let's talk a little bit about how I need to strategize for this rev share plan. How can I formulate an exit strategy here? What do I need to be doing? What am I missing? Where's my wealth chart? Right? It'll come, but that's not the problem that he's trying to solve right now. And when you can help them with that, it's the same thing. That's just our, being the true expert advisor. That's our approach with buyers and sellers, as well as you've got to diagnose the situation. What is their goal? What are they wanting to accomplish? It's the example in the store with the guy that, I got to wait, a little bit out, because that's his reality. It's not true, but that's his reality. And when you uncover and ask those questions, then you can prescribe and educate him. And that's where I think what you were talking about, hey, we're going to get technology is going to disrupt us. We're going to be completely gone. There's no technology that can educate somebody like that, in understanding what their situation, what their goal is, what they're wanting to accomplish. And that's how you survive the disruption, is by being that true somebody that just cares. I mean, at the end of the day, you care about another human being, and you're going to listen to what their challenges are, and you can help them. So that's the approach that I'm grabbing from you. And you've got such a servant's heart. That's why, we're successful in the hospitality business and have been uber successful so far in real estate.
Thank you. And that's really what it is. I was at, we do this weekly Tuesday gathering with a bunch of the guys from a church that I don't even go to. But, one of the things is that we had to choose 3 words to describe ourselves. And one of the words that one of the guys said was a servant's heart. And it's true. I mean, you got to apply that to everything you do, and you got to keep telling yourself that, because you got to stay in the positive light. I had one of the guys at the table, one of the words he used to describe himself was arrogant. And I told him, I said, you being here just tells me that you're not arrogant. So, I think that you're feeding yourself a lie and kind of holding yourself back by telling yourself that and continuing to say that. Maybe you were before, maybe a few years back, and maybe, there were some things that you look back upon and you're focused on, but you got to let those go, and you got to have that servant's heart. And he looked at me, he's just like, oh, thanks for the lift up. And, the positivity is just got to reign through. And that just, it trumps any type of marketing when you use that servant's heart and that positivity mindset. So.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's a great, being able to hold the mirror up and shine a little light for folks is extremely powerful. That's awesome. So, kind of looking through here and kind of thinking through, just a lot of the, how to focus on building relationships and adding value to people's lives. Is there anything else in here that, like, hey, as we wrap this up, if there was like one key thing, man, if I could just emphasize with you that I need you guys, I would love for you to just have this, takeaway. And you could have probably just shared that, but what is it that, man, guys, really focus on this, take this to heart, something to, to keep practicing? What would that be?
Well, I'll say 2 things, to be quite honest, because I recently saw this quote, and it was a warrior's deadliest weapon is his mind. And then, I kind of switched that around a little bit when I like to look at it as a warrior's greatest weapon is his mind, right? So education, for sure, first and foremost, because you cannot be a servant to your clients without that education. Whatever your specialty is, whatever your niche is, you got to be an expert in that niche. And so that's the first and foremost thing. And the second thing is you just got to genuinely care. I always look at it like this. There's days where you'll make a lot of money, months where you'll have a lot of closings, and there's going to be months where you don't have any closings. But if you start thinking in the positive mindset, the money's just going to come. You got to work now, like as if you're going to get paid later, right? And if you keep up that mindset, the rest will take care of itself. We don't worry about finances too much because I know we'll make it. We'll be fine in the end. And it doesn't stress me out because I've got that positivity mindset and I know it will come. It allows me to serve my clients better. It allows me to make clearer decisions. So just, you got to care at the end of the day. So, that education and caring, those are the two key points I would honestly give anybody, whether you're a new agent or you've been doing this for a long time. So
those are two great foundational pillars to build your life on, anything that you do. So I appreciate you sharing that. I appreciate you taking the time, being a true expert mentor for us all today, adding value back to the Honey Badger Nation. And for all of you guys listening in, if you're, checking this recording out, man, make sure you guys, please give some love to Dan and, drop him a little message, let him know your biggest takeaway, and, really appreciate that from all of our expert mentor hearts. We definitely love seeing that. So I appreciate you, Dan. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for tuning in, and look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode.
Thanks, John. See you guys later.